the door even opens, you're spending a boatload of cash before you can even generate the first dollar coming through here. So my question is, I know there's going to be 3 casinos throughout the state. You've already got the ones in Connecticut, and I know the ones in Connecticut already, there's an article that their revenues are down. And then you got Plainfield, and I think there's another one in Rhode Island with slots. So you're going to have a lot of casinos. And I guess my question, I like what I see here. I think it's going to do a lot of good for New Bedford. I'd even go there. I'm not a gambler, but just to go in there. But basically, it's two-fold question. The first part is, when everybody's in place, is there going to be enough money coming through? Is the pie going to be big enough in order to sustain this? The second part of my question would be, depends on your areas. You know you're going to have people coming in that really shouldn't gamble. You got people who are going to be chasing, you know, they got the $50, I know I can make it up, and they're going to take it down and down and have that spiral down where they're going to lose everything, they're going to lose their paychecks. And I was just wondering if the city has anything in place with social services, because I can imagine that's not going to have some effect down the road as far as that. So I guess the two-part is the pie big enough to support everything once it's all done, not just our casino, but statewide? And then the second part is the city set up for some of these other side issues?
What I wanted to touch on briefly, and Andrew touched on it a little bit, is that Massachusetts, through its gaming law, which really is unique among all of the gaming laws in the country, will be spending more on gaming addiction prevention, which is the most important, but also treatment services than the rest of the country combined. Millions and millions of dollars of the gaming revenue, the gaming tax that Andrew mentioned earlier, is going into what's called a public health trust fund that's administered by the State Gaming Commission specifically to address that issue. It's really a unique and amazing facet of the state's act that doesn't even have anything comparable in any other state's act. So I think that's something a lot of people aren't aware of. The Gaming Commission is already getting ahead of this. They're doing a baseline study now, first of its kind, to measure current levels of gaming addiction. As you mentioned, billions of dollars of Massachusetts money is already spent on gaming. The vast majority responsibly and as a form of entertainment, but certainly a percentage, just as with other types of pastimes, to excess. And what Massachusetts is doing that no other jurisdiction has done before bringing gaming in is doing this baseline study, and that's just going to form a basis to allow the Gaming Commission and its consultants and through administering the Public Health Trust Fund to make sure that issue doesn't get away from us.
In Pennsylvania, licensed 14 casinos. So it's about the size of the state and what constitutes an individual discrete RETE rather than REET market. Springfield, obviously, where MGM is building, is a market that includes Hartford, Connecticut, Western Massachusetts. I would say Mohegan Sun is going to have to start, may even have to start shuttering rooms when that opens. It's going to hit, you know, the westernmost Connecticut facility hardest. Mohegan is west of Foxwoods. That's a separate market. Obviously, Springfield also is closest to to the part of upstate New York that runs along the Hudson River. Who knows? It could pull from southern Vermont. You never know. But that market. The markets are done by drawing a circle essentially with the spot in the middle, and that's how MGM decided Springfield was where they wanted to be when they decided to go to the western region. There was talk of Holyoke. There was talk of there was West Springfield where Hard Rock was and lost their referendum. MGM decided they could spend $750 million by being in Springfield. Good road access, highways, etc. Steve Wynn is going to be up on the north side of Boston. That's an issue, unlike Pennsylvania and unlike Midwestern states like Missouri, where you say to somebody out in the Midwest where Missouri has casinos, how do you get there? They say go north for 10 miles and west for 8 miles, and you'll be there. In a coastal region like Massachusetts, one of the things that the guys who do the gravity models, like Steve Galloway, who does ours and looked at the Criterion with me last week, start to account for is behavioral patterns and the culture. People are squeezed against the coastline in coastal areas. The traffic arteries are narrower. They're better than they used to be, obviously, after the big dig here. But it's not so simple as just getting on a 5-lane interstate north and then a 5-lane interstate east or west. And to the east is water. So the market study for the southeast region accounts for the fact that people in Massachusetts, in eastern Massachusetts, will not get in the car if they live on the South Shore generally and drive through. Just think about driving through Boston to get to the north of Boston. Would rather go south. It's similar, you know, the part of the country I'm from and Ryan's from. There are people who live in New Jersey, so close to the shoreline on the other side of the Holland Tunnel, you know, in part of New Jersey, where they can see Coney Island and they can see the Rockaways and the beaches, which are spectacular. But they go to the Jersey Shore, which is further away. They're not going to drive through the Holland Tunnel and then through Manhattan and across the Manhattan to Williamsburg or Brooklyn Bridge and through Brooklyn to get to a beach that they can see. By the same token, if you're a bird and you live on the South Shore, it'd be faster to go to the Wind than Everett. But you have to drive a car because we all don't, unless we have a helicopter in our backyard, we can't fly. And the idea of penetrating the city of Boston and hope being lucky enough to come out on the other side 90 minutes later, depending on what time it is, that has a major impact that many of the gaming analysts either had to have explained to them or many of the gaming companies had to have explained to them what happens when you compress people up against the coastline. And people have gotten used to that for many, many years. You can't use the as the crow flies model for how close something is. New Bedford is further away from the southern part of what's known as the Region A regional line, which is the Boston license region. In miles, but it's closer in drive time. And it's an easier drive down Route 24 than going through Boston is. And the Southeast market remains strong. The Gaming Commission did their own study showing that the Southeast market is going to remain very strong, partially for that reason and also because of Providence being accessible from, you know, being part of this regional market. And in theory, you know, Steve Wynn is also proposing to build a 5-star Vegas-style big place. It's going to be beautiful, I have no doubt, but it's certainly not going to shriek, you know, come for a authentic New England experience that also includes a casino on a briny marine waterfront in a harbor. It's going to come to Las Vegas and Boston. And I think that's the last piece of your question, which is each product is different, and everybody can try a different product at a different time, but each product will attract a different segment of the market, the same way lots of hotels in Boston all do well because each customer likes a different experience.